Hi everyone, my name's Amelia. For those of you who don't know me, I recently graduated from Warwick. I got a 2-1 in Biomedical Science. And yeah, I'm basically going to just talk through how this platform, Graduwaiting, actually helped me find my job, which I'm starting in a week's time. So very nervous about that, but we'll come to that in a bit. So basically, I guess most people on this platform are in a very similar situation. You know, you kind of finish uni or you're looking towards the future thinking what you're going to do next, and it's quite daunting. I particularly found it quite difficult. I didn't really realise that I would find it difficult. I obviously graduated in the summer, had the best time at uni, threw myself into everything. I was, part of the cricket club, netball club, had a large group of friends, was really engaged in my course, things like that. But for me, I'd never really thought about what I was going to do after uni. I think, especially if you're doing a STEM subject, unless you're going to go into research or, change careers and go into a graduate program for some, a big corporate firm or something like that. I don't really know that side of things. But unless you're going to go into that, then I think it's quite difficult and you don't really think about what sort of thing you're going to go into. Because I had friends that were on my course, and they were they were going to go into the lab, do research, do a master's. That's the other option, do a master's, or go and work for one of these large firms like EY, JP Morgan, things like that. Which for me, I was never interested in any of those options. I looked at a few masters, but I thought I'm not passionate enough about doing those. I don't want to sign up to them right now. Maybe in the future that's an option I can think about. So then I was my group of friends, they all had jobs lined up. They were all either going to do teach first, they had graduate jobs secured, graduate programs, things like that, or they were going off travelling and they'd sorted all of that stuff out. But I personally hadn't really given it much thought because I was so busy. As the people who know me, they know I was really busy in third year, and I just didn't really give much thought towards what I was doing afterwards. So obviously graduated, and then I was like, yeah, I'm going to take some time off, just enjoy the summer. I live by the coast, so I was like, I'm just going to enjoy the beach, things like that. And then I kind of realised that I didn't really have a plan for where I was going to go in the future. So it was kind of near the end of August, middle of August, when I started realising that people were getting ready to start their jobs, ready to go off travelling, things like that. And I hadn't really got anything planned, and I didn't really like the idea of just living at home, because I had friends around me that were like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna live at home and then figure something out. But for me, I always like to have a plan. So I downloaded LinkedIn, set up a LinkedIn account, did all of that because I thought, yeah, this will help me get a job. And to be honest, I didn't realise it at the time, but it was that sort of thing where I started seeing everyone starting their jobs and doing all of these, finishing their summer internships and things like that, and I just thought, I haven't done any of this, I don't know what I'm going to do. So it kind of hit me, and then I remember seeing an article that my friend shared on Facebook called, it was about post-university depression, and I read it and I was like, this is interesting, this is how I feel, in the sense that nobody prepares you for finishing university without having something lined up. So I was feeling very lost. I was enjoying the summer, loved seeing my friends and things like that, but I didn't really have a plan, and I didn't like not having a plan or knowing what I was going to do. I felt a bit down. I felt like I didn't lock myself away as such, but it was kind of that thing where I was trying to talk to as many uni friends as possible, keep, in the university loop, things like that. But it kind of hit me one day where I was like, I can't keep doing this. It's not sustainable. And I was going to see friends, things like that, visiting people from uni, seeing where they lived at home and all that sort of stuff, which was great. I had a great summer. But then I was like, no, now it's time to think about me and what I was going to do. So as much as I hate LinkedIn, I did see this one job for a clinical trial assistant even. I should get the name of my job right. Clinical trial assistant. And I kind of looked at the job description. I thought, oh yeah, that kind of links to what I'm interested in. Looked at the application process and I thought, yeah, CV, cover letter, I'll do that. So CV was fine, but cover letter, I'd barely ever written any of those before. I didn't really know where to start, so I messaged a few friends who I knew who'd gone through the process. So I wrote a cover letter and I got my friends to check it, I got my parents to check it, and I thought, yeah, like, you know what, fine, like, let's just send this off. There's no harm in sending it off. Sent it off and I thought, what the heck, like, we'll see where this goes. It's worth just writing out a cover letter and then I can use it for more jobs in the future if that's what I apply to. So yeah, I was like, in my head I was like, yeah, sent one CV off, that's fine. I'm kind of looking for jobs, I can tell people I'm looking for jobs, that's fine. Whereas in reality, I was working in a coffee shop in town, which I loved, and it was great, and it was, you know, really chilled and things like that. But kind of, it wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So then it got to September, and that's when it really hit, when everyone started, I think it was, end of August, when people started going and starting their jobs, things like that. But then suddenly I got this email that I'd been invited to interview for this clinical trial assistant role. And I was thinking, oh my god, I've never had an interview before. Like the previous interview I'd had to this was either when I went for head girl at high school, which was years ago, or probably when, like, it was kind of like, you know, when I ran for sports officer, lol. Which was still a good process, still learnt a lot in that. Yeah, and kind of those were the only two things where I could think, oh, I've been in that situation where people have been grilling me and asking me questions. So I thought, I have no idea where to begin with this. It's so different from any kind of role that my mates have been interviewed for, because they've all gone off to these, you know, firms, like banking firms, things like that. I didn't really know who to ask. And I remember seeing Daniela's posts on LinkedIn saying how, you know, not everyone's got a job on here, like all of this sort of stuff. And I thought, oh, and she said, you know, message, like on her post, it was always, message me if anyone's in the same boat, things like that. And throughout the summer I'd seen them on LinkedIn and I thought, oh, I should really message her. But I just never got round to it. And then one day I was like, once I got this interview, I was just like, let's see what this is about. So I messaged her, I was like, oh, hey, look, I've seen all of your posts. It's been a while, but I should have messaged you. And then she told me about this platform that she was creating and actually, you know, opening that night. And I was like, oh, well, perfect. I'll just see what this entails. So I did a post on there, kind of outlined myself. Said I did biomed, applied to this role as a clinical trial assistant, got an interview. Is there anyone on here that can help? And the thing for me is, I find with Warwick especially, not many people know about the kind of little life science school that we have, or that we had even. And so it's a very closed community, and unless you know people in there, then it's quite hard to kind of get advice from people from other courses, because not many people from my course kind of go off and do different things. They normally go into research, or they do a master's, or they go into, you know, kind of, like I've said before, into the firms, and it's just like, well, no one's gonna, like, I don't have anyone who can help me with this specific role. I just thought, well, we'll see who's on there. It's probably, you know, and I get most people, you know, they do history and things like that, and politics, economics, things like that, where people are like, oh, I want to do internships and grad schemes and things like that, which completely fair, like completely get that. But I found I didn't really ever have that kind of network at Warwick. And then, yeah, so I did the post, and then Daniela commented, Sean, I think it was Sean, she tagged Sean in it. And I remember, I know of Sean, it's, you know, he's one of those people that you just kind of know, because I'd seen him around life sciences and in the swimming kind of area, swimming clubs even. And then, yeah, he commented saying that he was a clinical trial assistant at another company. And I was like, oh my god, as if this is happening. So I messaged him, well, he gave me a bit of advice, and I just thought, well, I may as well message him and see what he's got to say. So I bombarded him with questions, sorry Sean, and he just gave me loads of like help, loads of like really good tips on what to do in the interview, like really key things that they'll look out for, like what I should research before I go into the interview, and it kind of made me feel so much calmer, because I just thought, actually, the advice I've got from my other friends, really, really good, solid advice for any generic interview, but the fact that he could give me specific tips for this specific role helped me so much, because I then realised, okay, this is what they're going to look for in the interview. They're going to want to hear me talk about this. I now have a clearer idea of what the role entails, because I think that, again, some people, when they go to interviews, they're like, oh yeah, I know what the role is. But then actually, like, they have no idea. And that was kind of like me. I was like, oh, well, I tick all the boxes for the skills, but what does the role actually do? So yeah, Sean helped me out with that, which was really, really good. And yeah, so I went to the interview, just reading over like all of Sean's messages with like all of his notes and stuff. And yeah, the interview apparently went very well, because then it took them a while, I have to admit. I was a bit annoyed with how long it took them to tell me, but nevertheless, I got offered the role, which is really, really exciting. And yeah, I start in a week's time, which is very nerve-wracking, but hopefully it goes okay. And honestly, I can 100% say I would not have got the job if I hadn't been on this platform and hadn't kind of just thought, yeah, I'll just see who's on here, see if there's anyone that can help me. And yeah, it's all worked out for the best. So yeah, can't say thank you enough. Sorry for me kind of blabbering on. I didn't really know what to say in all of this. So I've just spoken off the top of my head. But yeah, hopefully this can help people and say, and show that this platform is really worth using. And yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say. So thank you very much.